Hey, welcome to the MYC Uncensored podcast. We're here for you to ask whatever you want, and we're here to cater to Western Sydney, since there seems to be a huge disparity, and sometimes you just need someone to ask. My name is Amira. This is my first podcast, and I decided to stick with something that I have experience with. And I go to a rigorous high school that's selective, and sometimes having a teacher's support, especially within education, is something you really need and something that really needs to be emphasized. We got a suggestion recently, and it read out to be, if you have a bad teacher for a subject, how do you how do you do well, and how do you continue to enjoy the subject if the teacher isn't even interested in teaching? So I do think I have some personal connection with this, and I do think it's really important to address this. So I feel in most public high schools, if anything, the teachers are really the driving force of your enjoyment for a subject. However, learning wise, sometimes you have to do it yourself. So I've narrowed it down into a couple points, and let's get to it. For me personally, I think the first point I'd like to go over is the year curriculum that you have access to. If your school doesn't send it to you, you can ask your head teacher for a copy, or find one online yourself. So this shows you what you'll be covering, to what extent you'll be covering it, in the words being used, and using it as sort of a source identification sheet. So once again, what's mentioned in this is that your teacher isn't interested in teaching you. That means that you're not properly understanding what's being taught. However, I assume you're also receiving classwork. So I think covering also learning techniques is something so important. So along with annotating your curriculum, learning techniques play a huge role. So in classwork and watching YouTube videos and um ulterior sources, learning techniques really are on the basis of understanding something. And sometimes that means you have to start with something from scratch. That means starting from the base. Because with understanding something, the more memory it takes up, this is what causes um active recall. Sorry. Active recall is when you can recall facts and the order in which, or the strategy in which things happen. With properly understanding topics and understanding your classwork through videos, it really poses as a great way to start. Think through online resources and things like that. People are really into these quick study tips and things like that, but none of that really counts if you're not really understanding what you're learning. And putting yourself under timed conditions does get things done, but I think that's more of an afterthought after you've already understood, when you have a lot of work to do. So, relating to classwork and videos, science wise, if you're starting from the base, I really recommend Amoeba Sisters. For math, Khan Academy is definitely the way to go. And with English, I think it really varies, but if you find a way in which you can properly understand and annotate things, it really poses as a thing to help. And I just wanted to put some extra clarification in. For English in general, the curriculum is very specific on the toning and wording in which they use. It's very explicit, and each word has a different meaning. And I think having a glossary of that and having an understanding of all those words is really important if you want to specify how you're doing things and teach yourself how to do how it's right. Also, when the teacher isn't teaching properly, they still are giving out classwork. Even if it's easier, it's something that can help your basis understanding before it gets harder. So if you've missed out on that easier stuff, email your teacher and ask him for those previous resources, because that will definitely help you. So, if your teacher is genuinely at a point in which they can't teach and they don't want to teach, a way to fix this, instead of having to teach yourself or being completely alone, is contacting a head teacher. A head teacher of a subject will listen to what you have to say, and especially if you have other accounts as well. If you need specific help with specific things or understanding assessment tasks, that's the person who you should be reaching out to if your teacher isn't helping. The head teacher of science, English, math, Hizzy, Taz, all those things. If you're feeling as though you need to be specifically tutored, tutoring is definitely a way to go with learning. However, we do understand it is difficult, and we do offer tutoring at the MYC Center, and we hope that can help. Once again, going back to learning techniques, it's so integral to how you learn. So, learning techniques is, first of all, definitely starting in an environment in which you can learn, recall, and then also produce. So this means, let's say for an example, in math, first you have to understand the concept and what's going on with a specific idea or new strategy. Then you have to do some of the activities to help you understand it better and apply different strategies to different types of questions, which helps you identify. Then you have to be able to do the hardest question in that book with ease, to be at the point in which you properly understand and can actively recall how to do this strategy and these questions. Let's take a science perspective. Let's say you're doing biology, having the ability to, let's say, watch a video. Then, after, take notes and see what you remember. Try and understand the processes in which things go through, and then you can try through long and short response questions, maybe even multiple choice. This perspective in English is a bit different. However, looking at glossaries and looking at what you're reading. And I feel like a lot of people emphasize general human experiences within English, but it's easier, and I think sometimes more easier to connect with yourself when you find a connection to an experience that you have, which is definitely integral because that's what connects you to your themes and is able to make you write a really convincing and powerful essay. So this means reading through your prescribed text or the ideologies, themes, whatever you have to go through, and highlighting, annotating. What can I connect this to? How do I feel about this? What does this mean? Things you're confused about, definitely go back and see. Try and memorize the glossary. Then try and apply it to different thesis statements and try creating your own structures. Also, once again, if your teacher is not responding or not in a position in which they're teaching properly, definitely send this to the head teacher and ask for help and try and extrapolate what you're feeling. Other than that, I feel like having a bad teacher in a specific subject sort of makes that subject dreary and you not want to participate, but being genuinely interested in a subject is what makes you be able to be good at it. So I think that who your teacher is should definitely not sway you from the interest in the subject. However, I do understand how it gets boring and confusing and scary. I just realized I've been only taking core subject sort of positions. So let's talk about Hizzy. So once again, the curriculum is really important to have printed out and annotated, especially for things like mod, echo, ancient, even business studies. So essay-based ideologies should definitely be, there's definitely slides posted and videos you can watch on YouTube. Um, TEDx does wonderful videos, and I think that can really help. Um, Also, with most of these subjects, essay writing and information is definitely something you need to be recalling and be able to do on the spot. So, with essay recalling, once again, looking through slides or looking through a video you had to watch, and then after taking notes and seeing what you remember and forget, really helps you outline what you should be focusing on more. And let's say about essay writing, most Hizzy subjects follow the same peel format, and I think specializing in that and finding a way in which you can be the most persuasive and in the best way efficiently translate what you're trying to say. Also, another thing in my personal experience, when a subject was extra hard, it really took away from the amount of time I was spending on other subjects because I was just trying to understand the content that we were going through, and it was just really hard. So I'm saying finding a good balance is really key, especially with the fact that you probably have a lot of heavy bearing subjects. So what I recommend doing is doing a subject a day. Doing this understanding, recalling, note taking, and then application is such an effective way to study. And doing a subject a day, meaning doing a math on Monday, sciences on Tuesdays, and let's say English on Wednesdays, really helps. Doing this separation and aligning it with tutoring as well is a great way to go. Um, so why this is important and why this is good is because it helps you recall and definitely helps you absorb what you're understanding better. It also, throughout the day while you're doing other things, helps it cement into your mind what you're understanding, what you're saying, and also the things you should be focusing on, the things you're forgetting, the things you can't just seem to remember. This also means you remember to ask the questions, you remember to also, the subject a day idea really helps with enjoying and being interested about a subject, and also helps scheduling and how you think and being reminded that yes, I do have a whole day to do this specific thing and things like that. I hope this helps with my first podcast. I hope you guys hear from me again. Let us know what you want to talk about. We love these specific questions and also the broad ones too. We'd love to know what you think. And I hope I see you again soon.